So I wanna do something to start out. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the count, none of us have talked about this movie yet at all.
Not yet.
Not at all.
No.
So on a count of 3, I want you to say if you loved it, liked it, or hated it.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Loved it! Yes!
Hi, welcome to another episode of SOS VHS. Today we did something different. Carlos and I took the skeleton to the movie theaters and we watched a very interesting, new, and long movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. I saw 2 movies this year so far that have kind of like reinvigorated my love for film. The first one was Oppenheimer. Okay. And the second one was this one.
Never saw Oppenheimer.
Oh, in terms of like filmmaking to the fullest. And this is like an 80, he's about to turn 81-year-old filmmaker who's still at the, his superpower is still there. It's incredible. I was blown away. But it was so sharp.
Well, I was going to say, did you see the Michael Mann trailer?
For Ferrari?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny seeing Michael Mann's trailer before a Scorsese movie because I'm like, you were like the horse like right next to him in the race, and Scorsese's really taking off.
Yeah. He's that group of filmmakers is still incredible. I think
it's amazing though. This movie, best movie I've seen since Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
I would say so too. It's an amazing movie.
Would it be better as a 3-episode
TV show?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is long. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So should it be a 3-episode show?
The reason why I would say no is because I feel this movie needs the scope of the movie theater. Also, because it's a Scorsese, I know that how he feels about the communal experience of watching something that will stay with you. You don't have other... I think watching TV is a little different, even if as good as TV could be.
Yeah.
I think a movie is a more profound experience when you watch it in the theater. It's like there's no other distractions.
Exactly. You'll remember it more, which is... I was very grateful I got to see this movie in a theater because I haven't done that in so long. And I'm like, I will always remember... Like, when I think of the movie, I'll remember this time I was at AMC Burbank watching it.
Right. And yeah, I took notes.
Oh, yeah?
During the movie. Yeah, because it was...
Did you have your light on your phone?
No, I was doing like scribbles,
Yeah.
But...
like you're a journalist in the 70s?
Right. I was just trying to pick up on certain things and certain names. And
Did you guys go to AMC?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you guys see Nicole Kidman?
Yes, always.
Yeah, I did. I was like, okay, here
it's
we
getting
go.
annoyed because everybody starts clapping or like booing or something every time she comes.
Oh, thank God there were no like young people in my theater. It was all old people.
And everybody does because here they are.
That's been like since 2021.
Yeah. I think she's COVID.
It's like.
It's insane.
Yeah, like they need to
enough already.
We need to update it.
And also, like for example, in Spain, there's another chain called Cinesa instead of AMC. But I didn't know they were owned by the same parent company. They changed the logo in post instead of like saying AMC, and it's Nicole Kidman doing the same thing.
God.
They just cut a little different things. Like, okay, enough.
That's so funny.
She looks great. I love Nicole Kidman.
So when you were in Spain, you went to the movies and then saw the same thing?
Exactly. I'm like, no.
That's so good.
Okay, so how do we want to start talking about this movie? I think...
how did it make you feel? Sad?
Yeah, I think it's tragic, but I didn't feel sad as in crying, emotionally sad. I was more like reflective about... how greedy, how insane the world is, and how we always been like this, and we don't care about other people, and the greed is primal, and like
there's no good.
Yeah,
Spaniards tend to not care about the natives.
Right. I know. Yeah, it's the history of everybody. Like everybody for themselves.
I'm the product of that.
Yeah.
I'm literally the product of Spain coming over.
Right, and it's terrible. It's terrible, and I think. Back then, you could maybe justify some other way. This movie takes place in the 1920s, which is just yesterday.
Yeah.
This is not like a
100 years ago.
16th century
Exactly.
thing, and it's so. I thought it was very enlightening of a time, a history that I had no idea about. I think everybody knows about like the basic idea of Native Americans being like
Pocahontas, like
right, like and all
hell or
the
high water.
right, all of that stuff. But
Just those two things.
I didn't know that there was this community of the Osage that were so rich, and that were back in the 1920s, like the richest community. I think like per capita, it says.
So I didn't know that either, and I thought it was gonna go. Just kidding. That's not what happened. Like
Right.
it was like
It was gonna be a very a joke thing. Like
yeah, like what's his name that made Vice?
he made Vice.
No, Vice. That movie with
Colin Farrell.
Oh, I see.
with Will Ferrell.
With Will Ferrell. Yeah,
Yeah, like how in those movies.
yes. Like
Yeah.
it could have been like a little wink.
Exactly.
But it's like you see them like with chauffeurs and like diamonds and all of that stuff, and you see all these white people as servants.
Yeah, I thought it was like a joke. Like it was like this is backwards land or something.
But
No.
but I knew you can feel the tension that that there was not gonna be a happy ending since
Oh, of course.
right
Since we're all here.
we're all here and they're not. But the
They're at
beginning,
Pachanga.
right?
Yeah, the casino outside LA.
They have but this movie happens in an Oklahoma reservation,
Yeah, exactly.
and it was a reservation back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
So and you see the allies, the super evil, I guess, the one who presents himself as the most, charitable and like
And Robert De Niro.
the
Yeah.
Robert De Niro character, right? And
I love that this was basically a Robert De Niro movie too. I didn't know that was going to be the case. I'm like, oh, this is so great.
yeah, I mean, if we go to the casting, if we want to start with that instead with of the story, I thought this was definitely De Niro's best performance in so long.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last great one, like Bad Grandpa. Like, you know
But
what I mean?
no, but I feel like this is as good as his younger self.
Oh, yeah.
like in because I think he's not bad in The Irishman, but all the CGI and all that took me a little bit away from that.
Same.
I think in the David O. Russell movie, he was nominated for an Oscar, and like was that
Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was great in that, but it was a supporting actor.
right? And I mean, in this one, he's gonna get nominated for supporting, but I felt like he was like
He was huge. Yeah, like he was the driving force of the movie. Everything Leo does is like
right.
He turns the head.
And definitely one of Leo's best performance. Again, another
Oh my God, he's just incredible.
incredible. He reminded me a little like that Marlon Brando in The Godfather with the
Oh, that's
like
so
when
funny.
he speaks and the
He's really like. I was reflecting on how he just totally took the movie star like race away from Clooney years ago, and I'm like, only now are we reflecting back and looking at the movie stars. We're like, DiCaprio is just he still has never been on a talk show before. He is just completely out of the 1940s. Like,
but he's an incredible actor. He's like such a chameleon. I
love it.
He's amazing. But I think for me, the biggest surprise of all was her. Like Lily Gladstone, it's her name.
she was amazing.
I think I have seen her in a couple indie movies as a secondary character, but never paid attention.
Yeah.
I also read in an interview that she was about to quit acting when she was called for this role,
Oh wow.
and I think she's gonna get nominated for Best Actress.
Oh yeah. I think she might win.
I don't know that much, but I feel like it's such a, and also I don't know. They have called her the filmmakers in the movie like the heart and soul of the film, and I felt it. I thought that she is like,
Oh yeah.
there's such a nobility in her character, and the way that
She seems so warm too.
like but
such
she's
a great.
restrained. She has such a gaze. I was mesmerized by that.
That was it, Andres. The restraint, because Leo's doing a lot, right?
Oh, yeah,
Leo's
yeah.
doing Leo, but
Yeah.
then the restraint that she shows is just matches him perfectly. It's
Yeah.
so,
Great.
it's great. Them together.
Yeah. So and then they have obviously secondary characters and cameos of like
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser is there, like Jesse, what's his name?
Dumb boy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Small roles.
Black guy in the theater laughed when he said that, and I laughed too.
John Lithgow.
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 Yeah.
I mean, with such small roles, these amazing actors. So, because it's a big epic, meaning you have a million characters, nobody stands out as a bad actor. So the movie starts with this ritual, right, where they're like, a group of natives is burying a pipe, a ceremony.
Oh yeah, I
pipe.
laughed at that part. I was like, oh, that's funny. I was like,
But
cool.
it's like kind of like a reflection on like, okay, they always are dying, you know, all these white people are coming in and we are losing our traditions, our spirits.
Yeah, it's like a rap video. She's like,
Yeah.
keep marrying our white people.
But then the moment that ceremony ends, you see the bubbling oil about to explode, and then explodes in this slow motion dance that I thought, okay, we are in an Scorsese world.
Yeah, I was so happy about that.
It's like visually stunning, gigantic screen. You know, I thought it was just beautiful, and I knew, okay, I'm gonna go in this ride. And then it starts with that little documentary montage with like the 4x3 like newsreel type of thing, where we learn about this, and I'm glad they have that, because I don't know if people in the US know this as a...
Oh yeah, there's like things that are coming out in history that are just now being added to curriculums, like in blue states.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea about the history of this tribe and their wealth and their tragedy.
Yeah, and like we said, like I totally thought this part of the movie, the introduction, was gonna be like a record scratch.
Yeah. And then, so I've never read the book. But this is based on a research book, and the book tells the story of an investigation. It's a procedural, and I feel like the Jesse, what's his last name?
Plemons.
Yeah.
The Jesse Plemons character was gonna be Leonardo DiCaprio's character. He is the driving
FBI
force
agent
of the book.
Oh, really?
In the idea of like, the book is the story of how the FBI gets created, and J. Edgar Hoover's like, you know, uses these crimes to like get the federal agency
to get funding for it. I see.
And then it's a whodunit kind of procedural of how the FBI figures out the puzzle.
Yeah. Okay.
So then I think they were gonna shoot before the pandemic. The pandemic hit. I think nobody was completely sure. They all were into the story, but I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio said like, it's a little soulless. And they reworked the whole thing to make it a very intimate movie. Then Leonardo DiCaprio wanted to play the bad guy in a way, but wanted to make it a movie about the relationship. Yeah,
that's so ambitious. I'd be so annoyed. I'd be like, dude, we're about to shoot this, and you want to fucking change it?
Rework the whole thing.
Oh my god!
But I think the pandemic
get paid twice,
saved this movie, because I think there is a potential for his second Oscar. I think this is a better movie than The Departed.
Oh yeah, I mean, The Departed's
The Revenant that he won the Oscar for.
Yeah. I agree too. I was thinking that as well. But yeah, The Departed it's like, I mean, I feel like movies, it's like we had really low standards in 2005.
Well, also like it was stolen from him so many times. Right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So many of his movies never won that.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad movie. I'm just saying like this movie will deserve it more. We'll see if it's also going to be maybe Christopher Nolan's first Oscar.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's going to be a tour de force.
Oh, you know it's going to Greta.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have all of that too. So we'll talk more. But the interesting thing is that with those two movies that I thought, because so Rodrigo Pietro, he's a Mexican cinematographer who worked in all those amazing Mexican movies like Amores Perros.
Yeah, so good.
With Alejandro González Iñárritu, all of those movies, and then he started working with Scorsese in Wolf of Wall Street and since. He also shot Barbie.
Oh, really?
So he shot Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon. Not at the same time, because this one is a longer project, but I think it's going to be one of those years that he's going to get nominated again.
That's awesome.
For cinematography.
I was watching them pull focus in some of the scenes, and it's like, it's really for like a tenth of a second.
Right. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And then the writer of this movie, his name is Eric Roth, and I remember that he had worked with Spielberg because he did Munich.
Oh, okay.
But I look him up just to remember which movies. So he won an Oscar for Forrest Gump.
Okay.
He was nominated for The Insider, Michael Mann.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Munich, nominated, Spielberg.
Yeah.
Benjamin Button with...
Fell asleep at the ArcLight watching it. I've never finished it.
David Fincher. A Star is Born.
Loved it.
And Dune.
Took a mushroom while watching it. Cried.
He was nominated for all those movies.
Damn. And I love Dune.
Yeah. So...
It's on Netflix right now.
Part 1, and part 2 is coming. So what a writer. And he co-wrote this with Scorsese too. I think like he put a team together of like really, really incredible people.
Yeah, like an all-star kind of thing. It's like LeBron. Like
yeah.
It's like I want all the good players.
Definitely. And then also an interesting thing, and the last kind of fact that I'm gonna give, like the music, because at the end of the movie you see that it's dedicated to Robbie Robinson, and he is the composer who just died.
Oh, okay.
But he goes back to 1978 with Scorsese when they did The Last Waltz.
Oh, wow.
He has done all his movies in terms of music.
I didn't know that.
And
I like the music in this.
Is known for more of like what they call here the needle drop, soundtrack.
He loves like the Rolling Stones stuff. It even sounded like the Rolling Stones at the beginning. I was like, this is sick. And I love that like the tense music wasn't a violin or anything.
Right.
It was like clearly like a bass guitar or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is very like someone who came out of the 70s.
Yeah, and also he has done so many documentaries about music. He knows music really well. But I think this movie, the music is, you don't have those big songs. It's more like...
there's not like Eric Clapton's not playing.
Right. Yeah.
Which I really thought was going to happen when, at the beginning, when there was like rock music kind of playing, I was like...
Yeah.
You thought I was going to be De Niro and it'd be... da-na-na-na.
Yeah.
Right.
Bum, 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 bum. He's smoking a cigarette.
So he doesn't...
Lucky strike.
I think unlike Casino, Goodfellas, I mean... I think for me, this movie goes into his top 4 movies of all time.
Oh, wow.
Which is to say a lot. I really, I mean, I had to digest it a little more, but I feel overwhelmed right now with how good it was. But it's not as flashy in terms of like the filmmaking with Scorsese is always like visible. He's never trying to play by the Hollywood rules in terms of hiding the story. You always see the camera moves and the punch and the freeze frames, and there's a lot of like expressive things.
He's taking you on the journey. You're not just placed in the studio looking around.
Right.
He's like pushing you towards the story. I get it.
Yeah. And this movie doesn't have, I mean, I think the camera work is always excellent, but it's not as flashy. I think it's more restrained. The violence is way more restrained. We don't have violence in close-ups. I realize, like in all of those movies where you see the blood, it's always like a wider shot.
Which what's coming to my head is that he feels like he's done it all.
Yeah.
And now he's like, watch me just like relax for a second. Let me show you like a completely different game and watch me win this way.
Right. Also,
like,
he's a master. He's older. He doesn't have anything to prove. But also maybe the nature of this movie and what he wants to say about it, and like not exploiting. I guess I don't know if exploiting would be the right word. Like the violence.
The violence is very like sad in this movie.
It's very sad. It's not exciting, because
no, it's not. It's not like in Goodfellas. The violence is like it's borderline video game like.
Yeah, and you always feel like with those movies about gangsters, the gangster is a cool guy. Yeah, there's repercussions later, but there is like Goodfellas. Like I always wanted to be a gangster, and then the cool music starts. And
it's not even like real in your head. It's like gangster might as well be superhero.
Right.
So when people die in like Superman, you're like, I don't give a fuck.
And even if that was his reality, because that's the life he lived as a kid, and with the gangs and seeing all of that around, I feel this movie feels very documentary-like in terms of like his responsibility to tell the story. I feel the weight on that might be there to like pull back a little bit. and just show you from afar versus recreating yourself in the blood and the guts.
Yeah, it
all
would
of that
feel
stuff.
a little strange to see all that.
Yeah,
Even like the explosion, you just hear it, and then like they will go outside in the houses.
to the consequences.
Yeah,
it's-
exactly.
It's more like that, and I thought, I mean, it was very effective. At least
Yeah,
with me, it worked really well.
because it's such an intimate movie. It's like so intimate that even like hearing a gunshot is a big deal. Whereas
Yeah.
in all his other movies, you would hear one every 5 minutes, basically.
Yeah, and it's an intimate spectacle for some reason, right? Like
Yeah.
it has the big scope of, you see the Oklahoma landscape. It's a beautiful country.
Oh, it looked terrible to me though.
Yeah?
I was like, all that green. It's just
It's
like,
like
but it's like boring.
Where are the buildings? No, I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is a story about this one man and this relationship with this woman, and like the
Yeah.
betrayal. And I think it's so complex. I thought it was very complex seeing Leo's character go over all these emotions,
He feels very like,
How do you guys feel about the fact that the Osage community felt that there was too much attention to Leo, and Leo's driving the story instead of Molly? Because really, it's Molly's the victim, but it's a story about Leo in essence, because he's
the
main
movie
character.
star is what I say. And also she crushes it in the movie.
Absolutely.
That's what I really think. I'm like, he's the movie star. He kind of like has to lead the movie.
Right. But in terms of like a political debate that is
Oh, yeah.
around this idea of like, is this an Osage movie? And obviously it's not.
No, it's made in the United States
And it's a
by white.
yeah. white man doing this. I think he's very aware of it.
Yeah.
I think we can talk about that ending, the epilogue. It's to me that once the movie ends, there is like a moment, right, that doesn't belong in the movie. Kind of feels like fun because it's so well done.
Yeah.
And then Scorsese even comes up.
Yeah. It was amazing.
And it made me think like a little bit of why are we doing this?
I had some thoughts. I want to hear what you think.
And I thought it has to do a little bit with Skeleton just brought up, which is who, right? Because at the end of the day, that
Thank you,
show,
Skeleton.
the Lucky Strike show, was
You're
something that Edgar Hoover worked with back in the day in the 20s and 30s to like a true crime, like the same way that true crime is so popular today. It was back then,
Yeah. Except it was funded by the government, which
right?
is wild.
And to kind of like market the FBI as like, oh, we always solve the crimes, we're always the good guys, we're always outsmart the bad
Yeah.
guys. But in a way, it's like they turned this huge tragedy into entertainment, and then we forget about it.
Yeah.
The last words that the movie said are basically that, like that we are,
I thought that was a very political statement what he was saying. That was loaded as fuck.
exactly. And I think that is.
Did you think of Trump?
I didn't think of Trump. I just think of us as a
One of them I thought of a lot of things. One of them, mainly a big one for me, was Trump.
yeah.
Like people make a big deal and then we forget because no one cares. And
Yeah.
wow. No one really does care.
Yeah.
Because I don't care who's president. I just don't. Because it's like, I don't live at 1601 Pennsylvania Avenue,
Right. No, and it's true. And we are selfish and self-centered. And I think if it doesn't affect us directly, we tend to like,
Yeah.
okay, feel bad about these things in the world, but then you go on with your life.
Yeah.
But I feel like Scorsese was very aware that this is a movie where the only reason why this movie is funded is because there's a Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro
Yeah.
and Scorsese in it, and that is not a perfect construct for that community, but still,
Yeah.
I guess the question is who gets to tell other people's tragedies? Who has the right to do that?
I think the answer to that is someone like Martin Scorsese, an artist with an open heart and a sensitive soul who the Osage would love. I think they would like him. They say this man is like trying to honor us, or he is honoring us with this film. But at the same time, it's like what you said, you got to have some guy with blue eyes on the damn cover to get the fucking money to make it. Cause that's the way the world is.
Right.
Ridley Scott, when he made Exodus, Gods and Kings, there was he's like, people are like, why didn't you cast like Egyptians? And he said the same thing.
It's
It's like,
God.
no, he's like, but he said, well, I cast Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton because people need to go to the theater to see them.
Yeah.
And that was his response. Whether it's right or wrong is, up to,
We can live
people
on
to
Earth
interpret.
or just lie.
But but he does have a point, although it's not their tale.
It is the nature of this business. I feel with this movie, they did as good of a empathy job with the story as possible.
This was made by Martin Scorsese, is
I
what
think
I
the
think.
Osage
Yeah.
community likes the movie, but that doesn't mean that it's an Osage movie, and obviously it's not.
Yes.
And I think both things could be true. This is a red carpet Cannes Film Festival.
Hey,
Oscar.
red.
Yes,
That's so silly.
I meant like gray carpet.
Yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio colored carpet.
Oh, don't worry. I look at what I wrote
Red, LOL.
for Carlos.
Oh no.
Carlos, do you like red women? I thought when Robert De Niro at the very
It
beginning
was so funny. I was
asked him
laughing.
about women, I thought, okay, because his answer is basically he likes everything that moves, and then it's like, oh, is that Carlos?
He goes, well, to like keep an eye on you or something. I was laughing so hard at that
And
part.
then my second thing is like, do you do Blackbird talk?
Oh, you know what's funny is when they were talking about Blackbird talk, I was thinking I always have to be on lookout for that with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very aware of Blackbird talk because I'm kind of like I can be an energetic person, and like I'll always want to throw in quips or like negativity bombs or something like that.
Because I have never heard this term before.
It's probably from the 20s.
But the idea of filling the space when there is silence, and Robert De Niro's character warns Leo that stop, don't run your mouth.
Yeah.
Even if the other person is quiet and calm, that doesn't mean that they don't know.
We are podcasters.
You don't have to fill out the space, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, is that who we are? Do we fill out the space? Are we scared of any silence? Because this movie also deals with silence in an interesting way.
Oh yeah, there's like long gaps of it, which are very like uncomfortable. I actually think that with age, you don't do Blackbird talk. Well, if you're like growing up, at least. But that is something that I'm like, I feel like I definitely don't do as an adult, and I do like Native women.
Yeah, no,
They're hot.
It wasn't a real question. I knew the answer.
Wait, Carlos, did you find Molly Burkhart hot? Because
Hell yeah.
I
thought she
did. She's gorgeous.
She was super hot, but also I was like, I thought she was pretty at first, but then obviously my brain knows she's an actress and that she's doing a really good job at her job, and so that made her more attractive.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the conversation we wanna have. I think hot is not the right adjective for Molly or for little.
Because it could be like red hot or something.
No, I just feel it's like she's attractive, and she's attractive because she communicates so much with her face.
Yeah.
I think
She's a baddie.
Yeah, she's
beautiful.
a baddie for sure.
She's definitely a baddie. That's what you wanted to say, Andres? She's a baddie.
She's a bad. No, you know she's a bad bitch.
That's what I want to say.
She's a bad bitch. No, that's what I want to say.
I see. Yeah. I think she's fantastic. I think she holds the movie together as good as Leo is. I think Leo is as good as ever. He's always good.
Yeah, it's hard for me to, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I just think he's a genius in that role. It's hard for me to forget it.
He's great in it. I feel the difference. It's also the difference in these directors, who I both love.
Of course.
Is the other one, you always feel the artifact of the movie. It's a movie about a movie, and it's and this one feels so real. This one feels as a real person. This person really exists.
He feels so loving towards Molly, which is so confusing as the viewer.
This is the whole thing.
Which is incredible acting. I'm like, if anyone deserves, I mean, we all know that Academy Awards are lobbied for. But if this was a world where there was like justice and true deserving of awards, Leonardo DiCaprio should have that. Or is Robert Downey Jr. gonna beat him?
Robert Downey Jr. I think is gonna be on a supporting role.
So it's gonna be him versus De Niro. That's insane. The Oscars can actually be crazy this year.
I think this year, and there's a couple more movies coming. I think we're gonna do as part of the show an Oscar night because we'll have to.
Yeah, but you know we're gonna be a bad friends because it'll be a Sunday night.
Right, but we can do like a pre-Oscar.
Yeah,
you know, like and discuss.
Oh, we should have. It could be fun to do like we have our winners, and
right?
We do like little bets,
absolutely.
And then we could do like a post show.
Exactly
with tuxedos. Yeah, like live from it. Yeah, that's okay. We'll keep our ideas
over all the movies.
Now I want to do
question
it so
for you
badly.
guys. Question: does Ernest love Molly? Does
yes,
he really love her?
I think he does.
I think he's weak because there are several points in the movie where I think he's weak for like going along with his uncle's plan. But I guess I don't know if men were like that over 100 years ago where you just had to like survive. But
yeah,
I think he loves her. I think she's dominant over him. And I think that everyone is. And that's why he makes other people do his dirty work. I just think I think guys like him end up in big trouble just like he did.
I agree almost 100% with everything you said. I think, look, he's a World War I, right, veteran.
Yeah.
He has nowhere to go. He has no identity. He has no legacy, no history, no family, nothing. So he goes to the only place where he has someone.
Yeah.
And that someone gives him all those things. A sense of like purpose.
And yeah, it's like a dog. You go to who feeds you.
Right. And then he gets, because he feels very innocent.
But he feels dumb.
Not very smart.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she even says it, right?
He's not bright.
He's not bright. He's handsome.
Yeah.
I like him. And he gets, and because we follow him, I feel like we are complicit in the journey.
Because you like him.
Right. You like him. You kind of see that he wants to do good, but he's so easily manipulated. And he can never stand up for himself against his uncle, and so slowly gets to do. I mean, his only moment of kind of bravery or like that is at the very, very end.
Oh yeah, I mean, but like everyone's brave after everything.
But it's already
once the war is over. But also, I was going to say, even when he meets her in the taxi, he's a fool. He gets distracted by cars racing by. And I love how the horse is getting upset, like nature versus like the bullshit though, like that they're bringing over.
But you would be the one racing the car.
Oh yeah, of
you
course.
wouldn't be like, oh, this horse is.
I don't think I would have made it past 22 in that time. I would have been chewing tobacco. I would have like
moonshine.
Oh my god! I would have said one bad thing to like a prostitute at a piano bar.
Yeah.
And I would have been like, bitch, or something like that. And then, like the pimp would have shot me.
I would have been John with 7 kids and a missing eye.
That's funny. But, and totally, like, I feel all the characters they're not
can I say it?
in a one-dimensional way. Yeah.
Well, I also think about what I could do. And I would have like an Osage dealer.
Yes.
And he could give me some of the medicine. And I'd be like, dude, I do it to heal. Don't worry. And then like behind the saloon, I would like smoke the magic stuff that they would. Yeah.
I think you would be today. You could be like those guys. I forgot the state where they have the biggest liquor or the most profitable liquor store in the country, which is just on the edge of a reservation.
Oh, that's so funny.
In a southern state, I think.
It's probably like Arizona or Colorado or something.
I don't know. I forgot, but it was that type of thing, that type of thinking.
Yeah, just like get close over there.
Get close, figure that in, which at the end of the day is what all of these white men are doing in the movie, right? It's like they're all lazy. Nobody wants to work. Everyone wants to steal the oil money.
Yeah. One of them joins the KKK.
Yeah.
And I like did you notice the wording? The KKK is here to like drive lazy men out of your town.
Right.
It's like, oh boy.
But it's a bunch
of black guys and Bobby.
So so interesting because at the end, like our main bad guy doesn't like them either, because it's what do you guys think of Robert De Niro's character? He says at the very beginning, the Osage people are the most beautiful, the most amazing people on earth. Mm-hmm. They're just sickly. Mm-hmm. And later on in the movie, he says something about like, well, he feels so much respect. He knows the language. He knows the
He's
gestures.
a mastermind manipulator.
But at the same time, he's just like...
He's lying. That's what I really think. I think he reminds me, he's a smooth liar. Like, I feel like I know
man.
people like
Yeah.
Here was my theory. Okay,
What's
so
Yeah.
when I saw afterwards De Niro's character, I thought this man is a literal representation of the devil. His last name is Hale. You're with, you know what I mean? It's close
Which
to hell.
is what hell is
You
in
got-
the South.
You got
What a
that.
hail.
Exactly. You got that fire scene.
King.
King, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's cunning. He says, "I got your back. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna fulfill all your dreams.
he's
Give you
like an
all these
annoying
riches."
old person.
He
Yeah.
is literally the devil.
And he tempts everyone.
Yeah, I just felt like he was like an annoying manipulator, and I just like, I didn't like everything he said. I was like, this is like, I just never. It was all false to me.
Yeah, he's really rotten inside.
Yeah.
Because Leonardo's character, although he goes through this whole thing, he's a way more innocent guy in the beginning.
Yeah, because most people just aren't like that lustful for money.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, I know we are today as well, but
Yeah.
you know, you see a whole like.
But that's his
lot of
only
money.
goal in life is making money, which I know that's a pretty good thing to have anytime because we are like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting characters with this respect. You know, he knows the community so well. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's like willing to do anything.
Yeah, I
get
just don't
there.
like guys like that.
Right.
Like, I don't like guys that are like the king of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they even call him king. I've never liked that person in real life. I don't like those characters.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's always like bullshit. Like, you're not the alpha. Like, the alpha is like looking to kill you right now. Like, you're the loud person who's annoying. And so when I saw I just thought it was a great representation of that character in literature.
Yeah. And also it ties to the Scorsese filmography of like mafia because at the end of the day, he is that guy.
Oh yeah, even there's a scene where Brendan Fraser, they're all talking to him about testifying, and like
Right.
it looks like it looks like a scene in Goodfellas where
Right.
they all
Like ganging up.
yeah exactly yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to give away anything, but yeah, there's ties to a lot of his movies in this.
So the first thing that after the first conversation Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio have, where he actually said, "Hey, smart up, read this book about the history of the Osage. They're amazing and beautiful people." You cut to this overhead shot of a guy who is dying of what it looks like alcohol poisoning or some sort of overdose or something, right? And then you start hearing Molly, although you don't know it's Molly yet, saying, whatever, Henry, 25, dead, you know, no investigation.
Exactly.
And then you go through 3, 4, 5 people, different ages. And then you see actually someone getting murdered with a gun and putting the gun in the wrong hand and like said like suicide. And then quickly you realize, okay, life here, you know, people don't care much. There's no real investigations about the murders of these people.
It's a Wild West still.
Yeah.
One of the last places to have it, I think.
Right. And later on in the movie, when the FBI comes in, they say something like 30 people were murdered this way in the lifespan of these characters in the movie.
Yeah.
I read that actually was like 120 people or something like that in the real.
Oh, wow.
I think they call it, I wrote it down because I thought it was very interesting. The Reign of Terror, 1921 to 1926.
120 something people.
People
Wow.
were,
That's
killed for their money.
That's insane.
Insanity. And I feel like that's what, like, I feel the movie is not sad in a drama sense. It's like sad in this tragic.
Yeah. That's so like it's like so incredibly racist that they're not like investigated. Like, this is like what racism in your government can like do over periods of time.
I thought that was the other point I wanted to bring. I think the word racist, I don't think it's mentioned in the movie.
No, purposely.
And I think it's so well done. I mean, there's one moment where they say when Leonardo goes to this character that Pete will become with one eye and 6 kids. and says, "Hey, my uncle wants you to do someone."
Yeah.
And I said, like, "Oh, I don't do that kind of job." And said, "Well, it's a native." And then he looks up and says, "Oh, that's another thing." And then I feel like, well, that's the reason why all of these things happening.
Because they don't humanize them. They're not real. Their religion is some voodoo nonsense, and their medicine is fake. And I know it's funny. It's like, oh, the medicine that he gets from the pancreas of a cow or something like that. It's like
the insulin.
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. It's like it's just like the Western version of like the Indian medicine. I'm like, same shit. Like
that was another thing too. The diabetes, in the community is like the white people food literally poisoning people. It's just so tragic. Like not just killing, but the food.
Yeah,
the food is hurting them.
Right, because the doctor tells her early on,
don't eat like a white.
Eating like a white.
Yeah,
you'll die.
Yeah,
or we'll have to cut your legs. And it's like, okay, then there's this a wasting illness.
Yeah,
which obviously, I mean, I don't think that that's something that people use today, right? Like I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I've never heard that term.
It feels so like, oh, what do you mean wasting illness? Like people are getting poisoned left and right.
Yeah,
right?
it's
like,
crazy.
It's like nobody cares.
Yeah, it's like so easy to get caught poisoning someone too.
Right, and it takes the federal government and this incredible effort to get the word out.
Yeah, she has to go to DC.
Right, for anyone to come in and try to actually uncover something, and I feel like this is what probably the book is very interesting in the way that the FBI start working.
Yeah,
because everything is so localized.
Oh, I know, it's cool.
People could move across, like, this country's gigantic.
Yeah.
And nobody will ever find anything.
I would commit so many crimes. It'd be insane. I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to like.
Let's
California.
cut that part.
Yeah.
Carlos, you're getting already a lot of love from our fans. But what do you think? Because I feel like one of the biggest themes of the movie, for some reason to me, was about marriage.
Yeah.
And how it's such a sacred thing. Mm-hmm. It looks like he loves his wife. I would say, that's my feelings. He really loves his wife. It looks like she loves him too. Mm-hmm. That they get to this lengths to, kind of like go through these trials.
Yeah.
And it only at the very, very, very last minute, after she learns all of the things that this guy did, that she feels betrayed, like feels like she has faith in him until the end. And like,
yeah.
And I don't know if this is a religious thing. I think like Scorsese, obviously the religion in him and the sacred, the sanctity of marriage, or I think it's an important thing for him.
Yeah.
His Catholicism for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then this idea, this bond, I thought it was a very interesting, and I think that's why this movie is so interesting. That this character is not just evil; he can be he is caught in between these two things.
Yeah, it's like and like I said, it's almost confusing.
Right,
you like him,
and it feels like he justifies himself. Like, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for love.
Yeah.
Although the things he's doing are horrible.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she wouldn't approve of any of these things.
Right.
Killing the ones she loves.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you guys' thoughts on the relationship and the marriage idea, the themes?
It feels like I like their marriage.
Yeah.
Except for all the murder.
Yeah, and I wanted them to succeed.
Yeah.
I wanted to believe that they could succeed as a couple, because I didn't want to believe that, oh no, I didn't want her to, like, it's almost like I didn't want her to find out, because I wanted the marriage to succeed, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he's so easily manipulated is so frustrating. Mm-hmm. So frustrating that it's like, he loves her. I think he loves her, right? But the fact that he can just be manipulated by his uncle to do harmful things is very strange. It's very strange why that would happen. And it's a complex movie. It's a complex, Leo is a complex character, and you're like, why? You love her. Why would you do this?
Yeah.
It's hard. You can't pin it down. That's why it's so interesting. You just don't understand.
Yeah, I do feel like if you have removed Robert De Niro's character and that force on him, that he would actually have been like a member of the community and live happily there.
Oh yeah, if like he wasn't there, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio was like destined to just be a normal guy with a happy life. He might have not married Molly, but like he would have just been a normal chill dude.
The problem is like all this energy, right? The guy he serves with in the front that meets at the beginning his marriage, he has that scene. I think this is not a real spoiler because it's a very secondary character. Has a scene with a lawyer where I said, hey, if I adopt the kids of my dead wife, and for some reason they were to die, do I inherit their money? And the lawyer saying, you know that you're confessing to wanting to adopt and kill those kids. And he said, no, if this is not legal, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so blank statement, there's no...
So matter of fact.
So matter of fact. There's no...
But it's like a dehumanizing of Indians,
Yeah.
natives.
Yeah.
But it's to the point where it's comical, where people were laughing in the theater.
Yeah.
People laughed at that scene because it was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels over the top because it's not real.
And I think that's what Scorsese does really well too, is make it have some moments of levity and comedy.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I get that.
it's such a gut-wrenching story.
Yeah, that's so true.
So he balances it with comedy and levity and quirky characters where you're like, okay, at least I can enjoy it and digest it. Otherwise, it's so gut-wrenching.
Yeah. It's
such a gut-wrenching
dark
story.
comedy. It's not...
Yeah,
don't laugh
it's not
at what
like a
he's
Coen
saying.
Brothers movie,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
there's like 3 minutes of that,
Yeah.
which is nice. And Scorsese's always been kind of funny in his movies.
Yeah.
Like Goodfellas is hilarious at points.
Yeah, I feel like Tarantino gets his best thing from like this idea of the violence and humor, that Scorsese has. I mean, Tarantino takes it to a different level.
Yeah, of course.
But
Even that spanking scene.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really, really funny. So there's a moment in the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio gets spanked and
With a paddle.
but it is really funny, and at the same time you feel like, oh, it is painful. It's not there's
it
no
looks
joke.
like it hurts so bad.
I read that Leonardo DiCaprio was wearing like padding, but that De Niro hit hard.
Oh, really?
I mean, this is an 80-year-old guy also with you can feel like he's a beast.
Yeah.
He has the energy.
Oof. God, that would suck.
Yeah, which also like there's the only moment in the movie where he's a we learn that he's a Mason, and for some reason he's part of this thing, and it was mentioned there and never again. But say like all these white people's clubs are emerging in the U.S. or they're
So
part
dark. Ugh.
Yeah, it's also What do you guys think about the length? Because the statistics, I think they said that movies are 30 minutes longer today than they were like in the 90s.
Really?
I feel it every time I go to the theater. The movies are long in general, but for some reason this movie felt right. The pacing, it was never boring to me.
That's because it was like eating like a really good steak dinner. It's a lot of food, but it's good.
Yeah.
That was my analogy. Is that
really?
you going to like a really like gourmet restaurant? You have to have small portions.
Exactly.
But Scorsese gave you a mountain full of gourmet food, and you're
it's like
I'm eating all of this.
Yeah, eating at a good sushi place or something. It's gonna take a while, and it's a lot of.
Are you guys hungry for some reason?
Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah.
hungry now.
We do a lot of food analogies here.
Yeah.
I know. I am hungry actually. I had Butterfinger at the theater, and before that, 2 tacos. So I'm kind of hungry. It's nighttime now to break that.
Yeah.
Wall.
It's a very long movie.
I was worried about the length going into it. I made sure not to see a late show.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, am I going to be bored? Because it's 3.5 hours. There's a good chance I was going to be bored. Went into it, wasn't bored, and I was super impressed.
Yeah, I wasn't bored at all. I barely looked at my phone, which is awesome.
Yeah, Wait.
Wait.
I didn't.
You looked at your phone?
I didn't even think. Of
You
my
brought your phone out in the theater?
Of course. I was in
You
the back row,
bitch.
and there were 4 people in the
This
theater.
is
You
how
bitch.
most people do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like before.
What?
Only if I'm in the back of the theater will I do it.
Don't do that.
I remember a little bit before phones, like or where people have the phones as their only device. People will look at their watches
Oh yeah.
as a. Sometimes it's almost like a thing. That how long is this? But I felt
Okay, I looked
Trapped.
at my watch. I looked at my watch. Okay.
I had to look at. I mean, it was like 2 o'clock in the middle
All right, I
of the
looked
day.
at my watch.
I really feel
sorry,
trapped, like, you know, and I was like, okay, everything. That's the feeling that I love about movies, and I heard Scorsese saying that he wanted to make a movie like the movies he saw when he was younger, you know, and like have that communal experience, and trap you and like share this thing, and I felt that. I felt the religious.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, even when I was there, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I liked going to the movies, because I've been in so long.
Any moments from the audience that any reactions that you guys caught when you were in the theater? Because it's always good. That's why you go to the theater. You get that sense of community and people react from certain scenes.
Yeah, just me and the black guy laughing at dumb boy. That was funny.
It's a moment where everybody laughed in the theater when I saw that.
He had a white mask on. Do you think that's a political statement?
Like
I'm wearing the white man.
I mean, what do you guys, to be honest, if I have to choose the only person that I was like, kind of like, didn't fit completely in the movie for me was Brendan Fraser. And he's a great actor.
Yeah. He was straight off the set of The Whale.
But yes.
Like they just were like, put this on.
But it felt, obviously it's a little bit of a humorous character, right? His introduction and court is like him starting to yell.
But don't you think, I thought that was just, I'm pretty sure like, okay, so I'll just say in my head, I was like, maybe that's what lawyers were like back then. They were more showman like.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, in a Scorsese movie, they're not going to like, there's no like dumb jokes or anything.
No,
like,
absolutely. I don't think he did a bad job. I feel like it was a very recognizable face.
Yeah.
Doing that small thing. And for me, felt like everybody else feels like it belongs in that role. And this I saw, this is an actor. That I know this actor.
Yeah, it did take me out of it a little bit. But that's just because I miss him. Yeah, I love Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, he's. I mean, and he just won an Oscar.
Well, remember that movie? What's that movie with Alicia Silverstone? Blast from the Past.
Yeah.
So good.
And for me, all the mummy movies were awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Tarzan.
Tarzan was good.
So funny.
Yeah.
So a couple moments that I thought were amazing is in terms of both the trust you have in an actor, you know, and the acting ability. Is like in that trial, there's a moment where they put finally Leonardo DiCaprio is gonna talk.
Oh, the end.
And they never cut away from him.
Yes.
He's a master.
The questions, everything you imagine. You've seen this a million times in many movies and TV shows. There's always cutting because it is boring. Like by nature, it's people talking, and there's something that TV does, like talk. So you cut a lot.
But you get a movie star in this one.
You hear everything and you play it all in his face, his reactions, his looks, his answers to all the testimony. And I thought, wow, this is how a master makes movies.
Yeah.
And then the moment it cuts to the only important thing to cut to, and then the scene is over. And I
love that.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I love how there was no fat in that scene, because the movie because it's so long, you could wonder where the fat is.
Yeah.
And sometimes fat is really good, so it's like you don't care, but like there are parts where you're like, no, this is like very precise surgical cut.
Yeah, I think to me when I was watching this movie, like how this is an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
Making a movie that is 4 months in the making and on location.
He seems really sharp.
He's like a Navy SEAL sniper, and he doesn't miss one.
He seems super sharp.
Oh, incredible. I was like, how? I wish I can get to 80 and be like that. It's
because Michael Mann seems a little off, and they're like,
I don't know. I think he was never as good of a filmmaker. He has amazing movies, a couple of them at least that are incredible. I think this guy is always like the worst Scorsese movie is still a good movie.
I know. The worst Michael Mann movie is not good.
No, exactly.
Yeah, Black Hat.
Yeah. You know, he has a bunch of clunkers.
Yeah.
But
Public Enemies.
Hate that movie.
So do I. I think it's so bad.
Also, the aesthetic doesn't go. Yeah.
Like when I watch that, I'm like, I want to take a shit on your bed now, Johnny Depp. Like it's so bad. I want to see Amber Heard and Wait, I saw the Aquaman 2 trailer.
Yeah,
and I was like, where is she?
She's there for like a frame.
Oh, I was probably looking at my phone real quick.
Yeah. She's there in one frame. So we'll have to talk about this movie at some point.
I laughed when I saw. Oh my god.
We'll do a fun, like, also maybe Christmas recap with all these movies that we're not gonna do a deep dive in.
That's a good idea. We do like a fast round.
Right, a fast round, like to catch up on 2023.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Are there any moments of the movie that stand out in terms of the filmmaking part, maybe the visuals,
you know what was just like fun? Not fun, but like how beautiful the set was of the exploded house. It looked like the Universal backlot from War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that was really cool. I don't know. I want to know your answer to this.
I mean, I love a lot of moments. I think, like I said, I think it's less flashy this time. I love the fire.
Yeah, of course.
You look through the fire and all this like kind of like
through the window.
Images.
We could have done that here, which is what I liked. What?
Look like demons in hell.
Yeah, it looked fucking cool.
It looked dope.
It looked beautiful.
You know what I love?
Interesting. Yeah.
The Lucky Strike.
The ending. Yeah. So I think we need to talk about that. I think I don't know how to talk about it without revealing, but at the very end of
I don't think it gives that much away.
It doesn't give anything away.
It's just we can talk about the choice to have that.
The epilogue, right? Like so let's call it so the movie ends and it would have been amazing. I think the later part.
This is what makes Scorsese.
I think it's one of like it has a lot of political statement and like personal statement, and I think like him being a part of that part it's a
Wait, did you see that part where Robert De Niro goes, "Hey, let's go, Brandon"?
Which part?
So stupid. Let's go, Brandon.
Dude.
I'm doing a Trump joke.
Oh.
No,
like,
the Biden joke.
The Biden
joke.
Because you were saying it's political, and I was like, oh yeah, there's that one part where he goes, let's go, Brandon.
Political. No, yes. Okay, now I got it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Back to it.
But so they decided to do 2 or 3 things at once. Like they show us how a radio show, which is basically what today a narrative podcast would be, all with the sound effects, but it's done live with actors reading parts.
Not an Adobe. Yeah.
Yeah. So fun with the orchestra live, and they're reading what really happened, the scripted version of what Americans did, receive 10 years after the murders as a fictionalized version of it as an entertainment part, a true crime. And it's done in a way that is so fun and is so visually fun.
It looks like it costs millions of dollars just for that one. It looks so good.
It looks
like out of Mad Men.
Yes. It's so fun. But I feel like in general, I love his shots. The energy that he brings with the camera and how they express something. There's a lot of shots in his filmography that are engraved in my head as like, this guy just has a visual imagination like Spielberg has, or all these guys, from that generation, where they can describe or transmit like a feeling through this camera work.
So, at the end of Goodfellas, when Ray Liotta's life is falling apart, it was similar to this, where the last act, everything is falling apart. And
right.
There's the camera whips. Starting in this last act, which is like in Goodfellas, the tension rises and the camera does definitely get faster, and he even does it in this movie just slightly faster. Like the camera whips from like the glass
from his point when he points.
Yes, when he points, and when they show like the glass of the door that says like a turning, then it turns real quick to show like DiCaprio coming down. But it doesn't like shoot in like they would in Euphoria.
I think you have all the classic Scorsese moments without going too crazy.
Exactly, which I love that there's like that tiny hint. Like you would really have to watch all his shit to like really know that. But
because I think like one of his characteristic things is more of and the editing is like, okay, they talk about a character or a moment, and then they cut to that moment, right?
Yeah,
that is so common in his thing. Is like
They only do that like
breaks
once or
the
twice.
narrative, but it does it in a way like so you can see what they're talking about, or you remember the character, or
Like in Family Guy
right.
or The Departed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, The Departed has insane camera moves that say like,
Yeah.
how did he come up with this, and how does it feel okay in this movie? This one doesn't have those moments, I feel, but still, for example, when a moment I love, he goes through the train station. It's a longer take where you follow him, and he does something that I saw in Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
He looks around, but the camera goes the other direction.
Oh yeah, I love that.
To show what he's seen, and then he comes back to him looking like that's a
So
huge
good.
Taxi Driver thing, but in a way less flashy. Again, is I don't know what other word to say, but it's a more subtle way. And then he gets into the car, and we have a tracking shot that's an air shot. And then you discover, oh, this is the landscape. You see the oil rigs. And I think that is an awesome image. I mean, I think there's so many great images in the thing.
Yeah,
also,
it was very pretty.
Yeah, I
liked
up and down.
my two favorite moments.
Yeah.
Number one was Leo reading the Osage book and reading the line, "Can you see the wolves in this picture?" Martin Scorsese speaking to us in that moment. And guess what? He can't see the wolves. So that's the whole movie. That's the beginning of the movie. It's kind of the through line. Can you see the wolves, Leo?
Love that, because there's a lot of things in that. One, how he reads. He's reading with his finger, basically, because he has told his uncle he can read, but he has difficulty reading.
Yeah.
And then in the metaphorical way, we're learning a lot of things about the Osage through that book. But then, yes.
Yeah, he can't really read that well.
Because the moment he says that line, "Can you see the wolves in that picture?" he gets into his first crime. Which is a little smaller. It's gonna increase in the way that he does crime. So yeah, that's a great moment, Pete. I like that.
And then the next one was Molly and Ernest, when Ernest is over her house.
Yeah.
And he's trying to talk, whatever, and she said, "Hey, it's raining. We need to be still. The storm is happening. Just be still." And he tries to talk again. I
love that part.
And guess what? We get this beautiful moment in the theater where we're all still listening to the rain, and it's such a nice just a nice moment to just be still. And then it goes to that exterior shot of the rain. I just love that. It's just a kind of a beautiful pausing moment to just be still.
More silence.
Yes, and I was gonna bring that a point. I love that moment, Pete. I think it's a great scene because on one hand you see the falling in love.
Yeah.
And to me that's why it feels real. It's not like an act. But you feel the different cultures. And how, because she tells him not to close the window.
Yeah, he's connected to nature.
The storm is powerful, and you need to sit down and listen to it. And he's restless, and he needs to do the blackbird talk, which is like what he was advised not to do. But then also visually, that two shot of the two of them.
I know, it's so dope.
And which I think I've seen in like magazines and things like that. Probably one of the stills that they use for promotion because it's the two of them, and it's like there's something about it that says
lit so beautifully too.
Yeah. I mean the lighting in I think that he's gonna again. I said it before. I think he's gonna get nominated for best cinematography again.
Would you say Scorsese is best top 5 director of all time?
Yes.
Of all time, yes. Yes, I think
I would too. Yeah.
I think he is undeniable. I mean, Francis Coppola has called him the best filmmaker of his generation, and that is the generation of the generation. So I feel like that's an amazing compliment. I think some people might be. It's just there's taste too. Like you might be inclined to watch this type of movie or that other movie, but in terms of masterfully knowing the craft, sure.
The actual art of it, Scorsese.
For me, he's always there. And also talking about when we talked about Tarantino last time and saying that he was like he wanted to make his 10th movie and then retire because he was feeling that getting older, he might spoil. He might make a bad movie.
Yeah.
And seeing this guy at 80 doing this type of work happened to me also with Spielberg, like, and other people, like, how can they be at that age doing this type of movies? And it's like,
Tarantino, I wish he wouldn't do that. I think he's just more of a curated person. Even his movies are very like slow grinds, slow burns.
A little different because he writes his own material and maybe he creates his own world versus like diving into different worlds. So maybe But he definitely top filmmaker of all time.
Yeah.
And follow up, what did you guys think of The Irishman? Because I love The Irishman, but I love this one more. The Irishman seems like a movie that I'd love even more 30 years from now, because it's kind of Scorsese showing his age, like a choice, like a man reflecting on his choices. And this one was about a man, trying to get wealth in the sleaziest of ways and being a family man at the same time. That's something I can relate to more. But The Irishman was different for
definitely,
me.
I like The Irishman. I think it was a very good movie, but I didn't have the same reaction that I had with watching this.
It's harder to connect to The Irishman.
And
I think.
also
CGI and
the
Netflix.
CGI, and Scorsese said something like, "Hey, we accept makeup. We've seen many movies where like an actor plays older through makeup." And we don't accept the CGI makeup as part of the storytelling process. And to me, I don't know why, but I agree with that. I think the CGI spoiled a lot of it. It was very distracting, very fake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same thing. I liked the movie, but the CGI brought me out of it. And like the Netflix of it all, I think was just experimental.
Yeah.
Scorsese belongs on the big screen. I was going to just watch this movie on my iPad, but I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, it's true. There's not that many movies. It's like, and Oppenheimer will be the other one this year that if you watch it in the movie theater, you're going to have I think all movies will have a different experience, but there's some of them that deserve that experience of
even like Barbie. People had like very great experiences watching.
Yeah, I try to watch everything in the movie theater, but I get why people, sometimes say, okay, well, home is good. I have enough of a big TV. I think this movie belongs on the big screen for sure.
Yeah, it's just too beautiful not to be able to catch everything, really soak it in, let it overtake you.
Absolutely.
Who is your guys' favorite side character? I have mine. I want to know your favorite side character, because there are a lot of them in the movie.
So many.
The depressed guy, he was cool.
Henry.
Yeah. I liked him.
The melancholic. I mean, also a great moment. Like, hey, you look fine. I feel really sad. Well, just drink. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like
he was just cool.
Yeah. I mean, the person who I enjoy the most watching as a side character probably is the guy who wanted to adopt the kids and kill him. I wrote
so
his
funny.
name, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Because he has that dancing scene at the beginning.
The dancing scene. I love that.
And you see him and slowly saying, "Oh, how can a normal guy, kind of fun, be so dark?"
Yeah. Just the Wild West, like fucked.
But there's a lot of them. Like the One-Eye Man was an amazing side character.
Yeah.
The rodeo
guy
the
was
rodeo
funny.
king who does moonshine. I mean, there's so many.
Blackie was my favorite.
Blackie.
Where he's like, obviously didn't work my plan because I'm sitting here talking to you.
Right. And also the fact that we learn. Well, and that's a good plot point not to reveal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought, everybody was so dark and so colorful at the same time. Dark Souls.
Yes, Dark Souls, vivid characters.
Yeah, but and great actors.
Written and thought out, which is our debate about Christopher Nolan. Whereas if Christopher Nolan made this movie, there'd be no good side characters.
I think you have to watch Oppenheimer. I don't know.
Okay.
That's so true, though, Carlos. He struggles with side characters.
Yeah, it's like we wouldn't have. Blackie would have said like 3 generic things. Like.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I would recommend watching Oppenheimer and because even if we don't do a deep dive on that, maybe when we do our Oscar thing, we'll compare all of these performances and the writing and the directing and the visuals.
Yeah, we'll clink the glasses and go, "Welcome to Oscar night."
Exactly.
We got we have a feed on the island.
So
a cruise ship is going by. We can watch it. What's up?
To wrap it up, why should people not only watch this movie but watch it in theaters?
I liked when Robert De Niro asked him if he wrapped it up in the war.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And he goes, best you can, right? He goes, best I can.
Yeah.
I laughed so loud at that part.
That's the part where I wrote Carlos. So also one little thing, when Robert De Niro, when the FBI goes to see him for the first time, he's getting a clean shave. And there's a shot. There's a shot that is overhead
I loved it.
that I think, I mean, and I haven't researched this. It's an homage to Robert De Niro in The Untouchables. Untouchables, it starts with Robert De Niro being shaved like that. It is Brian De Palma is a friend of Scorsese. He brought Robert De Niro into the world of Scorsese. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's conscious, but it reminded me of that moment.
That's awesome.
And one of the shots that also is very Scorsese is the overhead shots that we see in a lot of the movie for close-ups of things and for like overheads of like bigger things.
You know what else?
And it's I think they're all beautiful and they all transmit so much emotion. Yeah.
People just getting killed and them falling. Jack Nicholson comments on it famously in The Departed. They have like 3 of them in this movie.
Yeah.
He just loves like the dryness, the humanity of just having like a cold murder.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that in here, and it feels very real because
when the gun's not even loud, it just sounds like a cap, and then she falls awkwardly.
And I feel like, and you were watching from here, there's no close-up, which we talk about a lot.
It would be like you're sitting there.
It's like a documentary or like a real thing that is you're capturing.
Because it really happened.
And it feels so brutal because of it.
I feel so happy in those moments that I'm not in that position.
Right.
Like, oh, God, I'm so glad. I'm
Why does it feel more brutal with a wide shot? It really does.
Because life is in a wide shot.
Right. And because...
Oh, you know some like students are saying that at UCLA right now. Life's a wide shot.
No,
like
it's
you
because
nerds.
I think violence in movies and entertainment has been stylized for fun.
Of course.
And I like it like that. And when it feels more realistic, then you feel more like, oh, I've seen this in the news. I've seen it. This is not fun.
Oh yeah, like
this feels like that. This is not.
None of the killings are fun. There's no. That's when you're like, gosh, man, I don't know how much this is gut wrenching. I can't take this. It's
zero glamorization of violence in this movie, which I feel like he has done in the past.
Which is basically impossible to do if you're Martin Scorsese.
Right. There's a lot of glamour with violence, and I feel it and I like it. But then when you see it here, it's like, wow, no, this is fucked up the whole time.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because there's something in the news recently, the Maine shooting.
Yeah,
I was looking on Instagram and even like on like I got my news from fucking TMZ, and like that's what popped up on my Instagram for it, and like even like the AR-15 is like blurred out, and I'm like, man, we're not even trusted anymore to see the gun. Dude.
Yeah.
Because we glamorize it so much.
It's true.
I'm like, just real quick, are they blurring it because the algorithm would flag TMZ's posts?
I would assume so.
Yeah, so they don't really care.
I don't think journalists in general. Yeah, they have some codes, but I think the code of today is like
it's thrown out the window.
Sensationalism and like selling and anything goes.
I mean, I just got real news from. I mean, ever since Michael Jackson died, you would get real news from TMZ, which is nuts.
Right. Yeah, and the fact that everybody who has studied these cases have said if you don't give them press, you will have a more success rate of not repeating themselves because people want to get their 15 minutes of it. But it's against our nature. We want to know. We want to see.
What if there's TMZ in 1923 for the Osage killings? And it's like you're scrolling and you're like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
fun.
30 Dead, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And it's like Harvey Levin being like, guys, did you hear that in Oklahoma?
We had a version of this in this movie. There's a moment where Robert De Niro is watching newsreels and you see Tulsa and what happened in Tulsa with in a black community.
And he comments under it.
Like
LOL.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what would have happened. But yeah, to wrap up, I think it's a movie that really has an important theme, amazing acting, is beautifully shot. The whole experience in the theater, I said it before, is a little bit of a religious or like transcendent experience. It is such a good movie. I think for those people who love movies, they're gonna watch it, and for those who feel this way about cinema, I think this would tell you why cinema is such an important art.
I was savoring it because I don't think there will be movies like this even in 5 years. I think that this is Scorsese talking about this recently in the press because he's doing press for the film, saying that movies are done, all that stuff. And I know that's like a crazy conversation to have here, but like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that during the movie. I was savoring it. So I was like, I don't go to the movies anymore. Like I used to go with my ex-wife. Like I used to go with my dad and family and all this stuff. And I just remember the movies being packed. And like, I think about like Scorsese even like speaking up, and I'm just like maybe like the Sadfi brothers, like these people, you know, like like there will be directors that carry on the mantle, but I really was like enjoying it because I was like, one day it's like when I watch LeBron James play, he will be gone one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to savor him. He's older now.
I think, I mean, I said it a few times in the show that the movie brats are the dream team, are that
I agree.
irrepeatable moment in filmmaking that we're always gonna have great artists, but this amount of artists, all part of the same generation, all part of the same group, all making movies in like during 50 years, that will never happen again.
Yeah, I agree. So so in a way for me it was maybe I'm too sensitive in itself, but I was definitely thinking about that and just enjoying like the final seasons of Scorsese.
I love that, Carlos.
Yeah.
Made me sad, man. It made me like,
sad watching it.
Like thinking about Scorsese passing on and end of an era.
Not
and,
his last movie. I don't think it's gonna be the last movie, but it's gonna be the last movie like this, because the scale and the energy an 80-year-old man have to do to do this. I think the next movie is gonna be more contained.
Even
simpler.
if you made this, wouldn't you need like a year off?
Like
Just to
incredible.
like calm down and
These
relax.
guys are superhumans. I don't know how they do it. Yeah.
Oh, you know it's Ozempic and baby blood.
And exactly. Anyway, go watch this movie. Killers of the Flower Moon is amazing, and join us next week for another SOS episode.
and if you've seen this movie, let us know what you think of it in the comments.
Yep.
How?